call to order the Committee of Whole Meeting of Council, Village of Ashcroft, for Monday, June 8th. Mayor and Council wish to acknowledge that the meeting today is held within the traditional territory of the Meckam people. Are there any additions to or deletions from the agenda?
Nope, it's just open discussion for what council brings.
And as our minutes are adopted on the regular meeting of council, we have no delegations, we have no bylaws and discussions. We go to staff reports, which starts off with 6.1. Council discussion, UBCM minister meetings, requests, CAO memo, potential UBCM advocacy topic, rural capacity and shared accountability. We'll start there.
Sure. Yeah, so I was, as you know, I've been sending out emails and saying, what can we discuss? We didn't have any minister meetings last year, but this year, probably time to get something going again. So from a staff perspective, this is what we came up with. One of the things that we feel like there's a lot of downloading to local government from the province, and we recognize that there's not a lot of funding available. We know that we're having a huge deficit, so we want to see that number come down. So going to ask for money that may or may not be there is probably not in our best interest. So I was kind of thinking, what can we do that isn't necessarily a money ask? And one of the things was perhaps some rural capacity building around the things that the province makes us do. And one of them is an Indigenous engagement. Another one is like they send us money, for instance, to do housing needs assessments or to build homes and affordable housing, redo our OCP and zoning. And they create all these make work projects for already a very busy small office. And in rural BC, and we're not the only community that struggles with that, I'm sure, is that we all have so many hats on in our given day. We don't have a department where, for instance, the OCP zoning and housing needs assessment would probably go to the planning department if you had a planning department, and then they would take the lead on that, and we would come back to council for adoption. Instead, it comes to my desk, which then moves it to a working group, and we work through it with whomever and come back. So one of the ones that is a challenge is that is Indigenous engagement is something that we have to do, but because we don't have a dedicated person in the office that can focus on that, it could be a challenge. And then, again, I don't think we're alone. There's a lot of other small communities that are probably feeling the same. So one of the things that we thought as an alternative is maybe the province could help us by establishing, reconfiguring one of their employees that they already have into a rural shared service position, for instance, that would regionally support, the communities within the TNRD, for instance, or, even smaller scale where, this side, I don't know, are we the west side of the TNRD? Don't ever ask me for directions. And, where maybe that person could help us build that. We're all keen to build a relationship, but we just don't have the time to dedicate to it. So that was one of my thoughts. And I'm sure you've read the report. And then the other one was one that is really, it is a bit of a money ask, and that is that we advocate for the Fire Smart funding to continue because, as you know, it was very much rejigged, went from open-ended, not a competition to an intake deadline with competition applied to it now. So one of the conversations Gwen was saying is that they're having in their circles of Fire Smart is that they're looking perhaps at conversations around advocating for shifting to funding at least to support a Fire Smart coordinator so that that position is there to continue that good work, whether even if the money for dealing with burns and clearings and all of the actual implementation of the Fire Smart practices on the landscape surrounding the community is not funded. We can perhaps look at other plans to do that, but to have that position stay supported if they're not able to support the funding at its entirety. Or if that's not the case, perhaps look at, and we probably already do a little bit, but really focus it a little bit more on the critical communities, those that are in the higher wildland urban interface. And we so that maybe those communities get a higher rating or in sequence of consideration, they get maybe added points for being in that extreme fire risk area as opposed to being in a rainforest where they still have risk, understandably, but it's probably not as severe. So those are just the two things that we came up with. And I thought it would be a great jumping off point for you, and then turn it over to you, because I'm sure you guys have ideas from less of a work perspective and more from a political perspective.
Anybody have any comments or suggestions? Marilyn?
I mean, I think these are both awesome suggestions. The province has made it clear there is no money. Regarding Fire Smart, that's one I've been turning over a lot too, because this is one that I'm hearing a lot of concern about from small local governments, especially those in the interior that are on the fire line. And I realize that anywhere is on the fire line now, but I think that we need to talk to the province about funding, maintaining it going forward and making sure that it is stable and predictable, guaranteed basically, and two, ensuring that not only the small communities with the smaller tax bases, but the small communities that are more likely to be impacted by fire are able to access, and I don't know how to say this properly, money in proportion to that risk rather than it be based on population. You know, I mean, I'm sure the city of Surrey has a robust Fire Smart policy. What are the chances of a wildfire in Surrey? I'd say negligible. I mean, they'll have fires in Surrey, but not a wildfire. So rather than taking a certain pot of money and saying, all right, well, the maximum that Ashcroft can get is X, and the maximum West Kelowna can get is Y, which is substantially higher because they're bigger, we need to appreciate that Ashcroft probably needs that financial helping hand more.
So not so much landmass based and more.
Not so much population based, it's just recognizing that, for example, I believe that the number I saw from West Kelowna was that they could easily use $1 million from Fire Smart.
Wow.
I'm sure they could. They have a massive tax base compared to us. For them to raise $1 million or a portion of $1 million is substantially more easy for them than it is for us.
100%.
So we can't do it without Fire Smart funding, they could.
Yeah.
Your Worship, if they based it on science, where there is areas, do remote sensing, see where the fires come, and ability of, you know, the level of ability as well in those communities. A lot of smaller communities border and face it before it reaches the larger community. So, yeah, if they could do a logical, you know, prioritization, that would be nice.
Yeah, and I think they try to do that with the WUIs, because that puts us into the category of the higher risk, right? And it's the science that dictates that so focusing it more, but maybe linking that to what Mayor Roden said could potentially make small communities that are in that urban, the wildland urban interface, higher risk categories, more likely to be more eligible, raise their eligibility. Not population-based funding.
Oh, sorry. I should say the Worship. No, I
That's okay.
You can do your worship
to be
today.
his worship today. Councilor Collette?
I like both of your ideas. Are we done talking about those two ideas? I don't want to move on unless.
What, from fires? You still want to talk about Fire
No, I
Smart?
don't want to talk about it.
Oh, okay.
I agree. We're good.
We're good.
Add it to the list, for sure, 100%.
Yeah, I think that that's absolutely a meeting that we have to have.
Well, why don't we just, as we have a conversation, I'll make a list of all of the things that you like, that you might like to do, and then we can narrow down on the list. We might have a list of 15 or 20 ideas, and then later on we'll whittle it down to.
Okay,
Is
I'm
that
gonna
right?
add to your list.
Okay, we're getting a new piece of paper.
Oh, it's not that big a list. All right, number one
Fire Smart.
is Ministry of Citizen Services Connectivity Division. about the dead zones of cell reception along the major highways. There's one at Deadman, there's one between Ashcroft and Spence's Bridge, and there's a huge one Highland Valley and through to Merritt. Those are all major highways with major incident issues and lots of opportunity to not have any cell service during an emergency. And they talk about being, connected through British Columbia, but we have 3 huge ones in every direction. Which I don't think is a money thing necessarily too much.
I'll just, if I may, just from my discussions, because this is a huge thing with the electoral area directors and the TNRD, because of course they face this, not only the highway dead spots, but dead spots within places where people live. Tronkhill Valley is one example. Yes, the province will say that it is up to the telecom providers, and the telecom providers will say, well, we're waiting for grant funding from various levels of government because it is not cost effective for us to offer services along these stretches because there aren't enough people, and they're basically looking at it as a for-profit model, which it absolutely is for Rogers and Telus. And this might be something where we could usefully partner with the TNRD, because they are doing a lot of talks and a lot of advocacy. In fact, there's a major announcement in Vernon on Wednesday, I believe, about connectivity in this region, which I won't be able to attend in person, but
I feel like it's a single tower. Like it's a single tower to fill the gap down there. It's a single tower to fill the gap.
and there's lack of will on the part of the telecom companies.
Yeah.
But just some background, because
Yeah.
we've talked about it a lot, this is a lot of the board too.
I just find the regulated utilities, put the regulation in and then do it the next day, or say the license is pulled and we leave it to somebody else.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll happen overnight.
Yeah.
The province can. I don't think natural utilities should be allowed to make that decision. It should be the province saying, you have to.
There has to be connectivity everywhere, period. All right. Yeah. Next.
She's the chair.
Oh, sorry.
Oh. And you have another?
Oh, yeah.
There
Do you
we
want
go.
to just give my
Floor
whole
is
list?
yours.
Okay. Most of these are just like little ones, and so it's just a list. It's just, I ask people, I was like, if you could talk to the minister of anything, what do you talk about? So the next one is Minister of Energy and Climate Solutions, specifically the Climate Solutions Division, about the Clean BC guidelines. So their guidelines right now are based on your gross income, not your after taxes income, and a lot of people who would qualify for Clean BC funding don't because of that gap. And so there would be more projects applied for if they could do that.
And go on.
Next one is Ministry of Environment and Parks, specifically Conservation and Recreation Division. And again, these are just like tiny little things. For the booking site, the only way to get a campsite in British Columbia is to pre-book it. So if you just want to have weekend plans that you don't plan it, that there should be just leaving some sites open for walk-in.
I thought
Right.
they had changed to.
Have they?
I think they do have some campsites.
Some campsites? Okay. Oh, and I circled Fire Smart, so I'll skip that.
First come, first served, right?
And you completed?
It's with respect to that.
Oh, go ahead.
Temporary, yeah.
Yeah.
So on the same point, we've had discussion about crown land use and trails development use, Ministry of Environment and Parks, where that falls, but apparently there could be a collaboration between the Ministry of Tourism, Arts, Culture, and Sport. So that's page 17 and page 48 of the appointment book. If we could get a discussion there, then maybe we could roll that into a major discussion about local development of the trail system that we talked about before, collaboration with Lakers. So the 3 points there we can take.
Collaboration with what angle? She named 3.
Where the request to talk to the parks guys
Okay.
to bring up more.
About access, our time with them to discuss Crown land and trail use and who has access. That would be through tourism, arts, culture, and sport as well. Or that would be through the Ministry of Environment and Parks, and then in conjunction with the Ministry of Tourism and Arts and Culture.
Just a clarification, is there a limit on how many we can talk to?
We can apply for as many as we want.
Okay.
It's the province that decides how many of our requests are approved. Keeping in mind that, sorry, keeping in mind, the more we have, that's a lot of briefing notes and a lot of research and a lot of background work that we have to have prepared.
From staff.
Please don't pick 20.
Last
19 it is.
year, there were 24 meetings with the TNRD that I went to. I did not see anything in PBC. Honestly, I did not. I saw nothing. I heard from people that it was awesome, that the workshops and the sessions and keynote speakers were all great. I didn't see any of them. The only stuff I got to was stuff that happened after 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And sometimes, this is just a cautionary tale.
Yeah.
If that's the purpose of going to UBCM, you see that is the reason why we go to UBCM. Fill your boots and ask for 24 meetings. But that is, if we get them, that's all you're gonna do.
Yeah.
So the programming that has been laid on for us all, we're not gonna get to see it. So, and also the other thing too to remember is that sometimes the meetings with it is better to arrange a Zoom meeting privately with the ministers, depending on the item, because you'll get more time. And it will not just be the speed dating of UBCM. Because those 15-minute meetings, by the time you've done the introductions, the goodbyes, and the photo, you've got 10 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. Councillor Tuffy?
But for clarification of tonight's committee of the whole, this is to, at the request of administration, have our input about what they would like or we would like to prioritize that they look into with or without our help, correct? Correct?
We can narrow it down.
In there.
Okay.
I think at the end of today, we need a list. I need your final list of who you would like to see, and then I will do the research and put the briefing notes together and send them to you before they get submitted.
Okay, thank you.
Your worship, correct. Maybe we can come down to maybe 5. What is, if you can brainstorm and then maybe prioritize 5 where we can have more success in that. If that's okay, I just picked a number.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we need to make our list, go through what it is that you want to talk about today, and then we can go and see what's most relevant, what everybody's.
Fire suppression, the first one.
Sure. And also, we do need to be fairly specific in the ask. I mean, so if we want to talk to, just Councillor Tedford's example of trails, we have to be able to say this is the crown land that we want to put trails on. I think we need to also bear in mind that the one trail network that I think we would all like to see legitimized, for lack of a better word, is the Inukshuk and Three Meadows Trail. And we are working on that in conjunction with the TNRD, bearing in mind it is outside the village of Ashcroft boundaries. So, and then I'll just throw out here too, the TNRD does have 2 community services coordinators. Sherry Madden in the north and eastern section, and Joe Kang in the western section, and they might be a resource to be able to help us with some things that maybe cross over between communities, and I'm not just talking about, it's going back to what CAO Dick said about, maybe some of the communities, Ashcroft, Ashby, Clinton, Lytton, because we're kind of spread out there, like beads on a string. Maybe we do need to look into that collaboration so that we're not all reinventing the wheel and we're not all hiring the same people to do the same things. I mean, it still grieves me that every single community had to hire its own community, fire smart coordinator.
Yeah.
Really? Okay. I mean, we got the best one, so I'm happy with it.
Councillor Flynn.
I just have two more. Okay. Next one is Ministry of Health, specifically mental health and concurrent disorders, I think, maybe. And this is regarding the fact that it might be better to talk to Interior Health specifically, but right now at our health site, there is a mental health office. They will not help anyone. They are not able to help anyone unless you are at the risk of suicidal tendencies. So if you just have a little bit of seasonal depression or just not feeling great, you can't talk to them until you are at the far end of a health crisis. I don't agree with that. I think they should be helping anyone. I think that it's not necessarily a necessity for our doctors or the UPCC to be dealing with that if we have a mental health office. So I'm not sure if that's the right one or if it's Interior Health, but I'd like to add that to the list.
Good.
Your worship, in conjunction with that one as well, it was pointed out to me recently because a family member had to take a ambulance ride to town that many UPCCs have designated paramedic assigned times where they can take a person to the UPCC for analysis and make a decision, physical and or mental, about progression forward in that particular period of the day. We don't have that facility according to the two paramedics that I talked to. So in conjunction with that, there could be discussion about designated times at the UPCC for ambulance attendants to be able to go there rather than hustling them into Kamloops or other areas if it's not necessary.
And just to piggyback on that as well, and I'm not sure if I wrote it down, I can't write it now, but again, I think it's a more connecting with Interior Health is that the services that they say are available at our health site on their website, 75% of them actually are not available at our health site. So either give us those services or remove it from the website. Because if you're looking to see, oh, can I access whatever service? Oh, it says it's here. You're going to go through this whole rigmarole and then be told, oh, actually, no. So.
Or that it's very limited.
Or that it's only on every other Tuesday if the person comes. Yeah. And my final one, which again might not necessarily need to be a meeting, but some form of thing, is through the Ministry of Tourism, Arts, Culture, and Sport, specifically the community gaming grants. With my other hat on, I've been to a number of conferences where this information has been provided. The community gaming funding dollar amount has not changed at all in probably 20 years, yet the amount of gambling income has increased significantly. And so there are community organizations that could benefit from an increase in funding or being able to just be told yes to community gaming funding to provide services and supports for the community. Oh, I do have, so I have one more, but I don't know where to put it. I was productive today. I'm not sure where, because I didn't actually, it was access and funding for neurodivergent kids so that they can actually access services within their community instead of having to go rural and remotely. They get travel costs, but most of them are spending their allocation of support services funding for travel as opposed to the actual support because they have to go to Kamloops to access that.
So keeping that with
So it is changing. Like I know that they're changing the funding for neurodivergent kids and all, and that's kind of been shifting. But just there's no services at all locally. They're having to leave community for it, and so it's.
So are we wanting to advocate for them to bring those services from Kamloops to here, like one day a week or twice a month, or is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, Yeah, even just some sort of services here, so that they're not having to always travel. But I'm not sure which ministry I didn't have a chance to connect to the ministry.
Just a question. Is there any way of piggybacking with a community like Cache Creek on some of these issues with some of the ministers that, whether Cache Creek would tell us who they're meeting with and whether we could join in on a meeting to tackle some of these new ones?
We've done it before, actually, several times. If we've got something that we're both all advocate. I think one time it was even the three communities, Cache Creek, Ashcroft, and Clinton, met with the minister together. Yeah, so absolutely, if it's an item that's an issue in each community, we could absolutely do that. It's a stronger voice when it's coming from three communities than one community. However, they do not give us 45 minutes because three communities are showing up. We still only get 15.
Yeah. Some of the health concerns would be obviously the same health concerns in our region, you know. So, all right. It's a list of about 8 or 9 at this point, I think, which is good. It's good to have a robust conversation. Now, does this actually come to a meeting, come to the regular meeting, or do we discuss it now as a group?
We discuss it here.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So a top 5 was suggested.
Yeah.
Councillor Anstead?
No, cool.
I think the first one that should be done right away, and that is the fire smart one. That should be our first priority.
Can we just see if there are any, we've heard from Councillor Clement, is there any, and me, is there any, and some from me, are there any other ideas, thoughts that other council members want to bring forward?
Covered all the ones. Councillor Tedford?
I have 2. Ministry of Transportation and Transit, discussion, this will be a no money asked, a discussion for a survey regarding Evans Road to 97C intersection being at the wrong angle. The Mesa to 97C being downhill and at the wrong angle, and uphill and not the wrong angle on the other side of that intersection. The issues at the end of the bridge, with the crosswalk, the angle, the division, and obviously the damage that is ongoing. The railway crossing blockage issues that we're still dealing with, which makes us fall back on the idea of an overpass again. I get it, but this is a very succinct, short list of stuff that we could be speaking to the Ministry of Transportation and asking for a survey that they could, or an infrastructure services survey that they can perform. It's their highways. And also the question, and perhaps we should be speaking to the terminal about this first, but the egress issue from the terminal as far as putting in an actual egress to get out the other side somewhere in case of emergencies. Whether that's crossing the river again or how that would be facilitated, I don't know, but it could be a discussion. It's been brought up before, and I brought it up on our tour date down there. So, so we could ask for the study. We could ask for them to fund the study, present the solutions, and then go from there. So that would be a no money ask. That would be very succinct. Also, may I carry on? The other one that I thought about, page 32 in the book, and this one may be a little contentious because I haven't been on council very long. I don't have a ton of history, but with respect to the twinning of the North Reservoir, I understand that that is a federal discussion that we've had with Mr. Caputo, thank you. But perhaps if we met with the Ministry of Indigenous Relations and Reconciliation and looked at meeting support from them with regard to the twinning of the North Reservoir in our water system, we could present it as helping with getting all parties to the table, which seems to be a bit of a consistent issue. Also help with pressure on the feds for funding and get things happening. As a result, we would have water security for the Ashcroft Indian Band, as well as us, and funding for the room, the capacity to hold, and maybe more pumping capabilities. And that would be via the policies with the Intergovernmental Relations and Legislation Division, which is page 33. We could also have that discussion in conjunction with the Ministry of Water and Land and Resources. Page 50, last bullet, speaks exactly to the same thing.
Thank you.
Anybody else? I suppose the minute taker over there did get all that. I'm not sure.
Well, I don't know about all, but I got some of the gist of it, I think. So we have Fire Smart is on the table. Ministry of Citizen Services and Connectivity, and speaking to the cell dead zones across the region in areas connected to larger urban centers. We have the Ministry of Energy and Mines Climate Solutions for climate solution in regards to the BC Clean BC guidelines, that their eligibility for funding is based on gross rather than net income, and a lot of people with net income would actually qualify. Ministry of Environment, Parks and Conservation booking site have more parks have available for a first come first serve walk-ins, so that you're not you don't always have to be prepared and book 3 months or 4 months now, I think, in advance of your stay. Another discussion there was Crown Land Use, Ministry of Citizen Arts and Culture is local development of trails and the trail system, Environment Park, basically Ministry of Environments and Parks, Crown Land Use, trails, kind of pair those two together and discuss. Yeah. And then there was the caution that we be careful about how we ask for this, and keeping in mind that TNR is also working on that. And in addition to that, Miles Bruns brought Noelle, I can't remember her last name, she was from Ministry of Trails, Rec, and whatever title was on. And they met with Margaret and I also in discussions of trail, because we had reached out prior to TNRD reaching out to us about trails, saying, hey, what can we do? What about this trail? How liable are we if we promote these trails? And it just started that discussion as well. And so there was several discussions going on about trails. And then we do have our trail plan, which was developed. It would be nice to start working with that, in conjunction with others, and get those trails promoted for use would be good. As I understand, that would require us applying through to the Crown for Section 57, I believe is what it's called through them, so 56 and 57 through them, and that gives you tenure, and
It would be 56, because 57 is going to its own title.
right, Section 56. All right, so got that as well. Then we have the Ministry of Health request, discussing current issues at the UPCC, and also, and maybe this is also an IHA, maybe we request a meeting with IHA at UPCC as well, talking about mental health office and just all the little tweaks that need to be sorted out, what's posted on our website, the services that actually are available, and make it reflective of the service that's there. So if it's something that's once a month, then note that always the third Wednesday of the month, or however that looks, so it's clear. IHG services has tourism, Minister of Tourism, Arts and Culture, gaming grants, discussion about funding hasn't changed, whether getting out of game grants haven't increased since its inception, however, gambling has certainly increased.
Since its inception, it's
Oh, sorry, that was my
for
word.
at least
That was
10 plus years.
10 plus years, okay. 10 plus years, okay. So maybe look at increasing that again, but maybe we're using that to pay up the deficit.
That's not what it's supposed to be for.
I don't know.
They advertise that it goes all back to the
All back to the community. And then we have another one with health, neurodivergent kids, and advocating for bringing services to the rural community so that those families with those children aren't spending all of their funding on travel. They're actually accessing services. Pardon me. Minister of Transportation, have them come in and do a survey or fund a study and then present the solutions for the intersections of Evans Road, Highway 97C, Mesa and Highway 97C, the bridge, angle of the bridge, and railway crossing blockage issues. And also, at the same time, discuss a secondary egress from Ashcroft Terminal. And lastly, we have the twinning of the reservoir, which is mostly in the federal, I guess it's in their portfolio for now because that's where the funding application sits. And to secure water security for AIB for us adds room to hold increased capacity and increased pumping. And that would likely pair with Ministry of Walrus. I remember water, land, natural resource, something, but it's walrus.
And also too, I'd like to add the one about the rural capacity.
Rural capacity, yes.
Now, would that be better off as a staff discussion? Because remember, we can schedule meetings with staff, which are half an hour, unless that's changed. The week before, those would be virtual meetings.
Yes.
So perhaps some of these are things that we could discuss with staff more profitably than dealing with the minister who doesn't actually do much. It's staff who do it all. Regarding a lot of the health ones, maybe we can, the health ones are gonna be tricky because anything involving paramedics, you have to have BCDHS at the table. But maybe we could schedule a meeting here with Interior Health. They certainly have come here in the past to discuss health issues. So maybe we can bundle a lot of those into a meeting with Interior Health and say, take the stuff off the site. If you don't do it, what can we do for neurodivergent kids who need to access treatment that's only available away? And that's where all their money goes. Can we do the window with the paramedics? That might be something to have all at once with IH.
And if you haven't been in the room, it's not a 15-minute speed dating session. It's to have meaningful conversation where you can actually truly advocate.
Yeah, they'll come out, in the past they have come out here and they come and met with us for an hour plus. So, something that might usefully be found just as a starting point would be, I believe there was a study done about the intersection of Evans Road with Highway 97C back in around 2015-16, when there was talk about possibly putting grade separation at the east crossing, specifically in underpass, and that Evans Road junction was identified as a major issue, concern, hazard, delete where applicable. So I'm not saying that obviously things have changed there since then with increase in traffic at the terminal, but if we have it somewhere, maybe that's a starting point just to look at and see what was done back then.
That study was definitely done because I can remember discussing it with the homeowner at the time.
I've seen it. I've seen a copy of it. Did you show me that?
And Dawson has said that there's stuff coming about with the bridge, isn't there? There is something coming with the angle of the bridge or something to do with the walkway at that.
I don't remember that specifically from her discussion. It was just a matter of being blocked back in and fixing the railing. To my memory, however, I did see them out surveying, taking a look at ground angles, etc. there for quite a while one day, and I'm assuming, I'm not positive, but I'm assuming that those survey crews were to look at that exact issue.
I believe she did indicate, the last talk we had from Dawson, that they are looking at that specific issue with the angle of the approach to the bridge from Evans Road area or Highway 97C to Logan Lake. What they can do, I don't know, but then I'm not an engineer. So. Oh, I know.
Okay, those are your options, folks. Unless you want to add something to it.
My own feeling is we definitely need to approach as many ministries as possible, or whoever we need to make number one fire smart. Because I think that is crucial. We, you know, having started down that road and got the funding and starting to do things, people are going to expect us to continue it. We're going to expect to continue it, and fire seasons aren't getting any easier. So that would, if someone said, okay, Barbara, one meeting, have one meeting at PBCM, I'd say fire smart. We need to talk about fire smart. And they need to hear it bluntly from the ground, from a community that's been through it several times. We're coming up on the 50th anniversary of Lytton, and one of the reasons people were so freaked in 2021 with Tremont Creek is because Tremont Creek started on July the 12th. 12 days earlier, a small town that gets blisteringly hot temperatures, that is in a valley on a river, burned to the ground an hour from here. And people were understandably afraid that that exact same thing that happened to Lytton could all too easily happen.
That it could have.
And it could have happened in 2017 with Elephant Hill. Could have happened in 2021 with Tremont Creek. A different angle. Could have happened for Shetland Creek from a third angle or a different angle again. We were never in the direct threat from Shetland Creek that we were from the others, but.
Councillor Quinn.
Just from a staffing point, of that list that we've given you, which ones do you, just putting you on the spot, think are going to be the most effective to speak to a minister as opposed to staff?
Definitely health, I think staff is our way to go. Not cell receptions. If that's an argument with telecom companies, I've seen success with communities actually reaching out to the telecommunications companies and putting pressure on them that way. That may be an option if all the ministry is going to do is tell us, well, you need to, why not go to them directly? First-hand experience, I've seen the cell tower be installed because of direct pressure. It took a long time. It wasn't quick overnight for sure. Council stayed steady on it, but they did win.
One example that we do have that we can use, it's terrible to use a tragedy, but sometimes that's what it takes, is around what some people are now calling Firefighter Corner, down by Ghosts of Wallachine. And that whole Juniper area, there have been numerous fatalities in that very short stretch in the time I've lived here. And as you come down past Ghosts of Wallachine around that big curve, and then you start into, before you get down to the turnoff for Juniper, and there are dead spots all through there. It's hit and miss whether you have cell service through there. And considering it's a known area for fatalities. That's a critical area.
Yeah. I don't care who we talk to.
Yeah.
I just think we need to talk to.
And as I said, there is, the ministry is touting this big announcement in Vernon this Wednesday about connectivity in our areas.
So, in that list of agencies that we can speak to, the insurance company of the Corporation of British Columbia invests in road safety, loss management programs, crashes, et cetera, and they are directly listed as one of the provincial agencies that we could be speaking to prior to. So that's ICBC addressing that.
I think that's a good idea. It's a good angle to put that, to have ICBC advocating for that telecommunication to be improved in that area too. And on that note, I have been remember one of my other pet peeve projects that I think we've taken to UBCM in the past is the PEP funding for our highways, our highway rescue call-outs. So highway rescue becomes, when a call goes out, we submit application or reimbursement to PEP, provided we have our task number, and then we get reimbursed for the call out itself, whatever. However, the issue isn't so much the call out, it's the capital investment into all of the equipment. That's on the municipality. So whenever we do highway rescue, we're on provincial highways. We're protecting the province's citizens or tourists. It's not so much the locals that are benefiting from that. I mean, occasionally it is a local, but more often than not, we're not dealing with locals. Is that something, like, again, but this is increased funding, like they need to, it would be nice if those volunteer fire departments that are providing highway rescue services, there was some kind of a fund we can tap into that's established that we can apply for, saying, okay, you know, our jaws of life and whatever extraction equipment is aging out, it's 10 years old now, we need to upgrade. So, you know, we get in the queue of, okay, it doesn't become a grant source, it's just, okay, they're providing the service. This small community shouldn't be having to pay for the capital investments. Just another thought. Random thought that comes in.
Well, that's what the money for this year's Guns and Hoses is going
Yeah,
towards.
it was.
And I mean, the province does not fund search and rescues at all to the extent that they should, but they do provide some funding to search and rescue.
Even the truck, you know, when it's time to replace it, it is time. It's something we have to look at eventually. No? You're saying no. But yeah, eventually we'll have to look at that, you know, upgrading that truck again too. So like, it's those kinds of costs that are hard on a small municipality like ours for providing a service that's much more provincially focused in my opinion than it is locally focused.
And even if they just simply increased what they gave you every time there was an incident, so that you could then take that money and put it into a capital reserve ourselves. I like the just having a pot of money too, but
Maybe both. That's a conversation for when there's more monies to be handed out. But just a thought,
Can we maybe do that as a resolution next year and kind of just start that process next year?
whatever council wishes are.
Yeah, I mean, that's come before Silga and UBCM, and I think it's probably come before all the other LGUs as well, numerous times.
Yeah.
And it falls on stony ground, but, you know, if we keep applying pressure.
Yeah, eventually it's going to become an unaffordable service that these small communities can't provide, and then what?
Yeah.
And we have done a resolution, it was a few years ago, probably like maybe 2021. I can't remember, but we did do a PEP resolution at once upon a time. So we have Fire Smart as number 1. And all of the health conversations to be lumped into a meeting with IHA just here.
Number 3. Go ahead.
Do you think that the downloading of services is a minister talk or a staff talk? So I think it's important. I think that it's just more and more. I mean, I've only been here for 4 years, and the amount of things that have been added to your plate in the last 4 years, on top of just simply running the community, is.
I mean, the housing needs assessment, the now requirement for us to overhaul our OCP and zoning bylaw every 5 years. Not helped, of course, by communities that let their OCP and zoning bylaw go for 20 years, because if it ain't broke, don't fix it, okay? I mean, for me, the accessibility committee was the one that I just thought, whoa, great idea, we absolutely need it. Doesn't go far enough because it's only obviously our facilities, not businesses that people can't get into, but it was a start. But now and yes, they provided some funding, did they? Yes, there
No.
was.
No, there's no.
Oh,
funding,
okay,
it's
so
just-
there's no funding for
yeah.
that, and so now we have to form a committee. There were severe restrictions and impositions on who had to be on that committee, which did make it very difficult for small rural communities to find someone who ticked all of the people who ticked all these different boxes.
And now there's an expectation to fund
Maintain-
all of the projects that the
Yeah.
accessibility committee
Yeah.
found to be lacking.
Absolutely.
And even just to come and have the Cancer Society to come in and do the assessment on the buildings, it's an astronomical expense.
Perhaps to do some of it, and this is a side note, but perhaps we could talk to municipal insurance about, because don't we get a free assessment every now and again as one of our perks of membership? So we could take something that was identified by the accessibility committee as a potential issue and get them to come and do an assessment, like a more in-depth assessment from an insurance point of view. And didn't we get some funding to do some work on playground or something at one time?
Your worship, it's more with a risk lens. It's not an accessibility lens, so they come and look at playgrounds or infrastructure and go, okay, you've got a big risk here. We can, help you identify it. And again, a little bit of funding, but, this is typically what I've noticed in the last few years. There'll be funding for planning and assessments, and then the kind of expectation is left that the local government has to come up with the big capital dollars to actually make those changes. So that was my concern with the accessibility. Good idea. Accessibility is important. But once the study and everything's done, who pays for it? The local tax base is not, that's where the challenges come.
And it's when we're partnering, or if for instance, for this building, we can partner with our seniors and get access to some of that funding to retrofit the ramp, for instance, and make our building more accessible. But it's not for all of not all of our facilities have that society that can access that funding that we can't access. Maybe a better ask for gaming would be that local governments be allowed to apply for the funding. If it's, under 5,000. For very specific items like accessibility, something like that.
Capital projects.
Looking at the amount of money that they want to do that study, though, that's a very small portion of it.
Just referencing the time here, it's 7 minutes to 6. We still have a few to put on our list. My question is from the standpoint of staff and the amount of time it would take to perhaps do up the information for the new ones that are been suggested. What are the ones that are cost prohibitive for the staff to do?
All of them are fun. It's not a problem, it's just prioritizing. Your annual report might be a little late, but we're working on it.
And we've gotten rid of quite a few of them.
We have,
lumped
right.
into.
Exactly, so we have
What?
Fire Smart's #1, right? And then we've got capacity was one that was mentioned, we haven't given it a number yet.
I think the question is that one best to talk to ministry or staff?
Right. I think ministry, I think that should go to Ministry of Municipal
I'd
Affairs.
like to put that as number 2.
And CFO ballot?
So my suggestion is maybe we can draft up a list and you can score on an email to everybody. You can score 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we choose what's all.
I just want to know what's
Great.
left now, because I think we've removed quite a bit.
So we've got the Clean BC guidelines is left. The parks, the booking site for parks, which we're lumping together with Crown Land Trails conversation. So there's that, Minister of Environment, Parks, Conservation. Do you want to have that conversation, or do you want to have a conversation with the TNRD and Miles Bruns, we've already started work on the access to trails and partner with them.
That seems the more prudent way at this point.
Yeah.
So then that's off the list. The booking site. That would be some
Might just be an email or a request.
email to staff.
Or a letter from the village.
Yeah, like I don't think it necessarily
Right.
needs to be a.
Letter.
But it's just a touch point.
Okay. Minister of Health, that's all going to IJ. The gaming grants one. So that leaves gaming grants. Twinning of the reservoir and the Ministry of Transportation.
Cam, can I just get some more clarification about what exactly are you wanting to discuss with the minister regarding the project?
With respect to the Ministry of Indigenous Relations, what I'd like to discuss is, for want of a better word, leveraging their position with our local Indigenous population to ensure water quality for the Ashcroft Indian Band, thus the volume to supply that via the twinning of our reservoir, even though it's a federal mandate, and I know it's a ton of work for us. Everybody's entitled to good water. It's something that I discussed often a year ago when I campaigned. And I think that we may have an opportunity here to put a little pressure on the feds via a provincial ministry saying, look, we have two birds we can kill here. We're not really making a ton of progress. I know there is an application in with Frank Caputo's office, but we're not making a ton of progress. Maybe there's the opportunity to have a ministerial talk at the provincial level that's going to leverage some force at the federal level.
So you're looking for provincial support to bolster our
Federal plan, exactly. I don't even know if that's a doable thing. However, in business it is. If somebody has a plan at this level and they want it to go to the big level, they leverage the lower level.
I don't know whether I should open this can of worms, but from my perspective, and this is where it stalled, the whole discussion, bottom line from my part is that the village residents don't pay for water for a neighboring municipality or First Nations. So that has to be, and that's where bottom line has been drawn from, and where all the different proposals which come, which would end up costing our residents, needs to be funded by the feds or any other mechanism so that there's no net cost. We are happy to do it at zero, no add-on profit, but it cannot cost our residents more, and that's where it has started. So that's where it links to that portion, and we haven't been able to move past that point. And, this is where we start.
Go ahead.
I will just piggyback on Yogi's thing, and also too with this being stalled so often that we've now become into a position not just winning the reservoir for our needs, but also if we're going to supply the AIB or Indigenous people, we may have to put in an additional train. So that's going to add another spin to this situation, because now our water supply, due to the addition with the development in North Ashcroft, is taking up that additional usage there. So there's a whole new spin coming on to this whole project.
If I may add, we are with the engineering study, we were concerned, we were at 95% with the envisioned development coming in. So we don't have capacity, so there'll be a whole new analysis required on how much it costs. And it would be substantially more than we were having issues at the first, so now it's not only a reservoir, it's new trains, new fire pressure, a whole lot of things.
So quickly, if I may, then let's just retract that idea at this point because of the progress that we've made to this point, and we'll just leave that one off the table because of the progress that we've made to this point.
Ministry of Transportation.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you want to speak with staff or ministers?
I think that's a both, personally.
I agree.
These ministers to make them aware at the highest level, staff to make them aware at the practical level.
Okay.
And we have some history to start on.
Councilor Follett?
I think just going back to the AIB and the water, I think that, Daniela, your capacity, I think if we can get some support for Indigenous relations, I think that might help that project
Yeah.
along in a different angle.
Great.
It definitely, yes, will fall into there.
Okay.
Well, then we have three. We have Fire Smart Capacity, Minister of Transportation, and there we also want to meet with staff. We have a request to meet with IMIA. Is that still a go?
No.
Nope, okay. And IHA. Okay.
Oh, the other one was ICBC.
ICBC,
So-
yes. ICBC.
Cell.
Cell tower.
Four. Oh,
Connection. So that would be a staff, but ICBC I think will be at BBC,
Yes.
right? Yes.
right.
Perfect.
So you can meet with them there.
And beforehand, if we want to do it by Zoom, they're on that extra list.
CFO Bell?
Sorry, Your Worship, I just wanted to say I got a complaint about the train stoppage today as well, so people trying to cross off, so I don't know whether that fits into Ministry of Transportation
100%.
discussion, so.
Always.
It's crossing their highway.
All right.
So the railways there to meet with?
Unofficially,
Unofficially, just unofficially.
Tyler and Mike will probably both be there.
We have a robust list.
We do.
and Thank you all for your suggestions. Thank you, staff, and comments. Anybody else? Last comments? Anything? Okay. We move on to 4. There's no closed meeting.